Hello, chaps. Episode 38. That's flown by very quickly. I
Wow.
remember just the other day we were having a practice go. We ended up on the live stream for about 2.5 hours and had the most fun ever, where we just basically planned nothing. And it was probably still today our best ever episode. I'm only joking.
Yeah, great.
Good.
It's all gone downhill since then.
I know, yeah. Just keeps the feedback just gets worse and worse every week. But you know what?
Yeah.
We're here. We're gonna have a good time. Obviously, there's plenty of news on the timeline. We've had the whole SpaceX IPO, which was I think the biggest IPO in history. There's been a whole bunch of different things on the timeline. We're going to speak about obviously crypto, NFT, some of the stuff that's happening in the token works ecosystem, which will be really exciting. But firstly, I just want to kick the convo off with how you guys are doing, what you've been up to, and how's everything going your end. Simon.
Had a good week. As the summer comes along, the world of training and coaching just starts to actually, thankfully, just gently peter away for a month or two because everyone goes on holiday, which is quite nice in a way, as long as you know you've got work coming up. And working away on my various NFT linking agents that I'm working on and constantly refining, which I find totally absorbing.
I love that about you. You're very you scratch your curiosity itch. I think it's the reason why you're very good at finding NFT projects, because you don't hold back on anything. You're a yes person before. I mean, you say yes first or maybe first versus no. I can see.
Yes, I'm saying yes.
But don't put a sexual spell either, Simon, because I know you.
Yeah. All I would say is I am. It's great when you finally embrace the fact that you are a complete and utter nerd, and then all your friends say we only just realised.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Well, we normalize this stuff. Obviously, we geek out on NFT projects. And we talk about the technology and all this sort of stuff. And then when you get out in the outside world and you start speaking to people in a bar about it, they're like, "What the fucking bejesus are you talking about?"
Can I say my friends don't really understand what's going on in this other part of my world, and so I don't even bother with it.
It's almost better that way, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so.
Exactly.
Budge, just going to switch over to you, bud. Like, how's things been going, mate? How's the new flat going? You all settled in now? Obviously, we had our 4 days of summer, so you probably don't need your fan anymore.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know. It's actually quite hot in my flat right now. I'm not sure if that's just like the ventilation is awful, but you know what? I have been enjoying watching the World Cup. I've been watching, catching some of the games. I watched Messi score a hat trick last night, so that's been consuming me. And then also Topps Chrome V-Friends. I've been doing a lot of streams, and that's been successful. I had a really good stream yesterday, so yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Do you think do you think the referees are giving Messi a bit of a pass in this World Cup because he's blatant? At least that should have at least been a yellow.
Yeah, it should have been a yellow.
Actually, it could have been a red.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where they definitely got caught up a little bit, and then it ended up being a bad foul. I'd say yellow because of I don't think the intent was there, like, and they were kind of like jumping or falling. But yeah, I definitely thought that should have been a yellow. That was very, very, very kind of the referee on Messi.
Just for the 20 people that are in here at the moment, just do me a massive favor, please to give it a share. Amit, Amit, who is a regular on the show and obviously a member of the Carrot Lane private group, I really appreciate it. He dives on every stream, watches every single one, and shares every single one, which I really appreciate it. And just to the 20 others, please just give it a share on whatever platform you watching on. It's been streamed from different platforms, so we should get a whole bunch of people in here, which is great. Guys, the biggest thing that's obviously happened this week is the SpaceX IPO. I don't pretend to be an expert on stocks or IPOs, but some of the conversation that's been happening on the timeline is obviously how quickly Elon Musk's been able to accrue a shit ton of wealth, and then the wealth conversation comes up. And you're seeing people use it as a bit of a kind of political hockey puck. Elizabeth Warren comes up, does this video. I did have a video, but I didn't want to politicize the show. What did you guys make of that? Did you guys buy any SpaceX stock? Was it something you watched or looked into?
Yeah, it was something that I looked at. My brother wanted my brother kind of tipped. Well, not tipped me off. I mean, I knew about SpaceX, but he was like, you know, I've got this strategy here of like where I'm going to plan on selling most of it after, like, in the days before it goes public. But it, like, once you get the pre-sale, there's like a few days right before it goes public. And he thought that there was definitely an opportunity where you could make like an easy like 20-30%, or maybe even more. And I looked at it. I've decided to go pretty heavy into Topps Chrome. So in the end, my liquid was kind of allocated to physical Topps Chrome blaster boxes that I have stacked behind me somewhere. But the SpaceX IPO, I mean, it was for a lot of people, if you were smart about it, it was this guaranteed like 20 to 50% return that you could have got in and out of it within a few days, and it would have been like a few hours work at most. So he's sold all but one of his shares, and he's made like a few thousand, which is nice for sure.
You know, that reminds me a bit. Awesome. It's like people are actually minting. It's like it's just an extension of minting.
Yeah.
I'm now minting SpaceX IPO and seeing if I can flip it. Just the same kind of thing, isn't it? Really. It's like,
yeah,
like
it's doing quite well though. It's sustained. There's no. I did see this is a really interesting point. I did see a lot of Instagram or TikTok videos saying, "Oh, this is all like a Ponzi." You know, Musk has given SpaceX shares to the people who invested in X because X didn't do so well. And now you're going to watch them all dump on the retail investors. But I saw a lot of that kind of narrative being portrayed on social media. But if you look right now, SpaceX sits at $190, which is, you know, up like $30, up like 15% from when it hit public. And you could have bought pre-sale, I think, at like maybe around 120. I can't remember exactly.
I think it opened at like 137. It's interesting that the people, I think people are really confused about money and probably wealth. He doesn't have this in his current account. He doesn't have X trillion amount in his current account. And also, it's the general market being able to take part in something that he's created and earn wealth off the back of it, notwithstanding the fact that he had something like 4,400 different employees in the company that basically just became millionaires over the night. Some of them worked in the canteen, for fuck's sake. Like one guy was a welder. It's just like it's value that he's created, which I think is fascinating. And obviously people have used it as a bit of a kind of a political hockey puck, which is really interesting. We had obviously in light of in fact, before I come on to that, I just want to just get your two opinions. Obviously, the other thing that's been kind of making wins on the timeline is the social media ban in the UK for under 16s. It's going monumentally viral. There's actually a video of a girl. They interview her in a school. I don't know if you've actually seen that video, either of you.
Yeah, I have.
I haven't, but I heard.
Have you? In fact, what I'll do just whilst I'll pass that question over to you, Simon, is I'll get it up on my screen and we'll watch the full video. But have you got any thoughts? Obviously, Simon, you've got kids yourself. Have you got any thoughts on the social media ban in the UK?
Well, my two of them have definitely missed it, and Jude, actually, the youngest, he's turning 16, so he's going to be okay. So it's next year, isn't it? I say he's going to be okay. Maybe they won't be because they've been so involved. At all. Maybe they've been sort of indoctrinated. But I don't want to be sort of on the fence. I understand, having just knowing myself as an adult, how drawn in I am to using my phone, you know, and I can get the reasoning for it. I know Australia's done it as well, didn't they, before the UK? What would be the acid test will be what's happening in other countries that adopted this first, because it seems to me a bit of, the UK may have sought out evidence and research on how things are playing out in the countries like Australia, who implemented it a number of months ago. So I would rather know the data, but I can understand the reasoning to some degree. But although I have a real problem with people's rights being limited at the same time. Yeah,
I think politically it probably helps Keir Starmer a little bit, because he's probably the least popular prime minister in the history of the UK. So, and this seems to be a popular decision.
Well, what about Liz Truss, though?
She didn't last longer than a lettuce, mate.
Didn't even count.
She didn't last long enough to actually probably make the polls. I've got this video which I'm going to share up here. I absolutely howled at this. This was actually something that went viral. Obviously, a news reporter goes into a school and asks them.
Please put your hands up, those of you who welcome the ban. Hands up for those who welcome the ban. So this just gives you an idea. I think it's pretty fair to say that most of these students there, 11 to 14, most are pretty disappointed with the ban. Let's just come over to you, Isabella. Tell me how you felt when you heard the Prime Minister say no more social media for you.
I didn't think it would actually happen. I kind of believed that he'd chicken out of it and give it more time or more consideration, but he seems pretty sure of it, and I'm not sure if I agree with him.
What are you most worried about?
Not being able to contact my friends. I don't know what will happen and how it will happen, or whether if there's some technicalities to what apps are restricted, but I use most of my social media to contact my parents and family.
I mean, I think it's worth reminding people, earlier we looked at screen time. What was your screen time over the weekend?
9 hours.
9 hours. So suddenly you're going to have a lot more time to fill. And what will you do?
Stare at a wall.
Oh my God! No.
She's actually she's very articulate, very well spoken, yeah, and she's actually very quick with it as well. That was really good. That was really good.
I love that stare at the wall. I mean, maybe that might be the problem then. You know, maybe that just feeds the whole point of why this is happening.
I
do you know what I almost was going to say? Well, she is.
Yes.
She's definitely me.
Like, come on, we all spend time on our phones. We all spend
totally.
We all kind of doom scroll.
Is it the age?
It's the age, though, isn't it?
It's not the fact we do it. It's the.
But also,
I think we should be managed, but it's also the age.
She's in that 14 category. I have a flip side of this, which is I don't think you get someone that articulate without technology. She's obviously very insightful. I could imagine me at 14 or any of us at 14 doing an interview like that with the news. She's very articulate, very smart, very self-aware. I think
I'll tell you something that's really interesting. Having got a 15 coming up 16-year-old just done his GCSEs, literally finished it on Monday. I was watching how he was revising. And he was talking to me about it, and he revised a hell of a lot more than I did when I was his age.
Yeah,
I've got to say. And he was using all these different. It wasn't AI. He was just using different, I guess, streams or TikTok. He was literally TikTok. He was following people who were giving really insightful tips and techniques on how to do the exams, and then he was going back and doing past papers and. So the access to technology was pretty positive for him. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's just the internet, that being, but also social media allows
TikTok.
Allows you to have all that access to all that information. I mean, well, one thing I would say is, it's funny. First of all, one thing to note, funny as someone who's younger myself, who was told by my parents, you spend too long looking at these screens. It's funny to watch over the years how they've become obsessed with their screens as well. So that was a very, that was a very interesting thing to see play out. And then the other thing I would say is, it comes back to the age. I guess we all know doom scrolling is bad, but when someone's 12 to 16 years old or 9 to 16 years old and they're on social media and they're just like, they don't really have, they haven't developed their critical thinking and they're just consuming whatever is being fed to them. I think at that point, it's like, well, how much of this are they just taking in and saying, oh, that must be how the world works? And how much of this are they actually saying, oh, wait a minute, that sounds a bit wrong. There's a danger, there's a risk. But on the flip, as Simon said earlier, I also think, this is a slippery slope in some terms as well.
Yeah, it's also how people like, I guess, Andrew Tate influence younger people as well with his some of his rhetoric or whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to move on.
Thing, just very briefly, sorry, is that maybe it's a bigger question is about how we're all, managing our time in these spaces because my children often say, "Dad, are you listening?" It works both ways.
It's all the same stuff, mate. My granddad used to read the newspaper back to back, the same fucking newspaper 3 times on a Sunday afternoon. From literally read the whole thing word for word, and then do the Sudoku puzzle on the back of it, and then
Yeah.
go back over it again. And you do that 3 times on the same paper. That's the entire day. So this thing about wasting time and regretted minutes and all, we've done that all the time.
But Jaden, remember in my day when there was only penny farthings going around. But what I was going to say, in my day, I mean, and all your days, our days really, but especially mine, there was not even a mobile phone or the internet or a laptop. I was simply literally going out all day, and my mum didn't know where I was. So there is
and
that
also,
slight difference.
Also, the only way you would know where your mates were if there were bicycles outside the house, and you'd like, and you wouldn't know to knock on for each other. Oh, it was crazy. I grew up in Johannesburg, so it was 20 years behind you guys.
Yes,
well,
you would have been like,
So,
so maybe you and Simon are actually more similarities then, because it would have kind of.
Don't put it
We're really the same age, Jaden.
No One Famous has given us a fist pump, regular of the show, and a private member of Carrot Lane, which I really appreciate.
I thought you were saying no one famous is watching the show.
No. Well, there probably aren't. And then a few people have put some nice comments in the chat. Guys, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments section. We'll try and answer them. Nice to see you guys. And then obviously Can't Stop Me Now. Great guy, obviously part of the VFriends ecosystem. Scorpion, investing into physical collectibles.
Yeah, he's talking about my Topps Chrome addiction. And
then Joseph, who was introduced to the show by Ahmet, which I really appreciate. Ahmet, who's a regular of ours. I just want to shift quickly onto what's happening with crypto. Obviously, we had a bit of a relief rally because of the Iran deal, which seemingly is a deal, but then we've gone through this flip flopping of, I don't know if you saw that meme of the granny like going backwards and forwards, and it's going into the red light and the green light, and then it's like, done a deal, didn't do a deal, done a deal, didn't do a deal, and it's like, fucking hell, like I think the market just got tired and was like, well, who gives a fuck if there's a deal or not? And then I actually think, had there not been all of that kerfuffle, this actual deal probably would have sent price a little bit higher, but it's nice to see it's been a little bit of a relief rally. Have you guys got any thoughts on that? Do you think we're somewhere near the bottom of crypto now, or Bitcoin? Do you think we kind of full send from now until the end of the year, or is there a bit more pain ahead?
Well, we wanted to see this, first of all. We were wondering when it was going to come. I mean, it's been, like you said, teetering kind of between a deal and no deal. Really interesting rhetoric that I saw from JD Vance of kind of saying like, look, Iran is going to portray this as like a big win for them, and they're going to talk about all the positives for their country. But you've also got to bear in mind that for them to get some of, like, let's say the 300 billion of investment that was promised, they have to go through a bunch of jump through a bunch of hoops themselves. So that was interesting. But I think in terms of the wider market and the effect on the wider market, I mean, it's only a good thing, right? And I think you're right. Maybe the impact of the peace deal was a little bit kind of muted, but I think in general, this is going to set us up with a bunch of other things that are coming down the line, like potentially rate cuts, that I think that we could see the market pick up quite substantially towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think that it'd probably take a little while for things to re-establish themselves and trust to be built. And also, I was even listening today about oil reserves will be replenished, etc. But it's going to take a little bit of time, and because of all the false starts, all the crying, boy crying wolf, and all that kind of stuff syndrome. I think things will pick up later. That's just my instinct. I have absolutely nothing to go on with that, but my sense is things will pick up. And we're always saying, aren't we, if things play out, not because they necessarily were they were designed to anymore, like the 4-year cycle, maybe that actually maybe has gone, but in the psychologically maybe it hasn't gone, and therefore things might play out a bit later.
I agree. I think it's weird. Like all the macro indicators suggest that the 4-year cycle is no longer. However, it's the memetics of people believing that there is a 4-year cycle, and they're still trying to trade around it. It's interesting, like the cycle bottom has usually been 12 months after the previous cycle top. So I'm obviously, like with a lot of my content now, I'm doing a lot of stuff on the other app with a T. I'm going to say it, TikTok. The videos are going astronomically viral, but the beauty of that is you get loads of comments from people. And usually, if you get a whole bunch of comments that say the same thing, you can kind of lean towards it. And so many people are saying October. So I leaned into it. And the reason being is the cycle bottom is usually 12 months after the previous cycle top. They're saying the top was the 10-10 crash, and they reckon it's going to be October. But I know that when everyone pushes in one direction with a euphoric feeling, it never fucking happens, because people try and front run it. They try and do different things. And I just think October's too close to November, where the midterms are. Trump has to win the midterms. He needs to get the economy cooking. 30% of his voter base hold crypto. So he needs to appease his voter base, which he ran on. And then if you listen to some of the, I think Kevin Walsh has his first meeting today. I think sometime maybe 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time. And in the meeting, he is going to signal whether he is hawkish on inflation or dovish on business conditions. But if you go back to November, December time, before he was a Fed chair, I mean, the things he was saying is that the US needs to win the AI race. Businesses are going to need capital expenditure. For that to happen, rates need to come down. So there's all these things that are positive. And then if you just keep it fucking simple and you go, well, who's employed this guy? Well, Donald Trump is a personal pick of Donald Trump's. He's wanted to get Jerome Powell out for a while. It's likely that he's going to do something, even if it's some insider baseball. So I think we're in a really good spot here. And I actually think, unlike last cycle, when NFTs lagged the cycle, so ETH had a run first, and then NFTs went. I think what we've had now through collectibles is NFTs have gone first. NFTs have gone first. Now the coins are trying to fucking catch up, which is really interesting. Burge, I can see you nodding along. If you got any thought, because you were there in 2021.
Yeah, no, I think no, I want to hear Simon. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think
on the NFTs or interest rates? Or I mean, I think first of all, I'll be fascinated
NFTs
to know
going
what
first
happened.
And crypto following is
okay.
An interesting.
Interest rates are boring, aren't they?
Yeah, interest rates not so interesting.
I'm not. It's difficult to gauge whether they're going first because I'm so, like we all are, so obsessed and so detailed and deep
on the
into
new
it.
Mints. You're seeing the new
yes,
mints.
I'm seeing new mints, and that's something to maybe discuss because there are some real things that have really worked. Actually, I think it's very easy to discount new mints as just being useless and diluting everything, but that's a little bit too simplistic for me. But still valid in some cases. I don't know if they are, but I do know that we all in our little bubble experienced a lot more positivity over the last few months, haven't we, with NFTs? There's no doubt. Since I'm looking back at things like Del Mundo's and all those new launches at the beginning of the year, and how refreshing and different it felt at the time, and nothing had really been happening for months before that. So in that regard, maybe you're right, Jaden, that maybe things have been sparking, but the only thing is it's quite sporadic. It's not, I don't feel like we're on a kind of real wave yet. And maybe the next wave will need to come after the coins go up. But there's certainly been momentum, and it's certainly bloody exciting.
I don't think it's
being in it.
Yeah, I don't think it dilutes it. I think we had this conversation in 2021 when a lot of the predominant collections were launching secondary collections, because what happened was, it happened with, we'll come on to it as well, World of Woman, V Friends, Bored Ape Yacht Club. When they launched secondary projects, there was this conversation around dilution and just diluting it. But what people don't realize is the value is in the network of people, and if more people can get in the network, it makes it stronger. And then if it survives over multiple cycles, just like the coins or just like Bitcoin, it increases the chance of it surviving in the future. And I think some of the smarter things that the NFT projects did, particularly V Friends, Bored Ape Yacht Club with their Ape Fest. I know Moonbirds were going to do something, and I think they cancelled it last minute or whatever. World of Women, is they got people together. They got people together to meet up in person. Now you go, okay, you look at the holder ratios of these collections. Most people hold one. Then they're meeting up in person because you use it as an access pass. And it forms a part of your digital identity online, and you social signal it. And then it becomes this thing you can never fucking sell. And it's no wonder if you look at some of the data, especially Bored Ape Yacht, like the Mutants, that's like 73% of the collection hasn't moved since mint day. And it's the same with VFriend Series 2, like 87%. A load of people said that VFriend Series 2 was too much supply. 55,000 tokens.
You did, I remember that.
87% of the collection hasn't moved since mint day. So what they're saying to you is people don't want to let go of it. And the funny thing, particularly with VFriends, and particularly that time in 2021, is for a lot of people, these were their first NFTs. So there's that nostalgia. There's that nostalgia of like, but Simon, we were just chatting off there. Did you want to say anything there?
No, I was going to say about, I must at some point just check in with Burge just to see what his thought was about the wave as well. But I don't want us to go off in different directions.
No,
that may be quite useful.
I'll just quickly say that it does feel like, it feels like even though it's been sporadic, that the energy has started to shift around NFTs. Now, on the timeline, you still see the same negative like narratives being portrayed, or NFTs are dead, etc. But for anyone who's really in it, who is taking part, especially in those mints, Simon, that you've been taking part in, it's not just like a one-off that we've seen. It's Del Mundo's, but it's also, projects like Normies, NPC, non-player character, on-chain. They like that's a very new one, right? And we're yet to see where that will go. But the point is, like, you're seeing multiple successful launches in the year of 2026. Well, then that starts to reshape the narrative a bit. That starts to reshape the narrative around NFTs, and I think that sets us up for a comeback. I think that's what you need to see. That those are potential seeds or saplings that could become something real if you give it time and for the macroeconomic part to really sort itself out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing I definitely think about this is that new successful mints that sustain themselves beyond the first few days. What I'm really impressed by, the ones that do, are being innovative. They're having to work harder. They can't just do what we did back in 2021 and exist. They're having to be innovative. They need to be offering something. Even the mechanics of how people are interacting with their NFTs has been very much more thoughtful and creative, and I think that's great. Because they know they're competing against the sort of the old guard, so they've got to stand out.
I find it's funny you mentioned that, Simon. I get contacted a lot on LinkedIn from people who wanting to launch NFT. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you now. Yeah.
I get contacted a lot from people who want to launch NFT projects, obviously because I'm talk about it on the timeline, so it attracts these sorts of people. It's really interesting that people are still trying to run the same 2021 playbook of launch an NFT project as a crowdfunder, then use the money to build the IP, and then launch a coin to reward the NFT holders. And you're like, guys, this fucking doesn't work. This doesn't work. It's like now you saw with Del Mondo's launch for free, have a minimum, because it's the network of the users that you get in the network. There's no it's like I had a conversation the other day with someone, an artist wanting to launch their art, and he wanted to do it at a certain price, and he's got no audience, but the likelihood is that it's not going to sell out. And the reality is that it's the attention flows on the asset that drive the purchasing. So you need as many people to hold these things and social signal these things as possible. So it's interesting, and I think people are going to come up stuck if they're trying to do a TG, launch a token, and I think they're going to come up unstuck if they just use the NFT as a crowd raise, because the way Del Mondo's did it, where they launched it for free, baked in a 10% royalty into the contract, I think that's the way to do it. Because
I agree, and they know that their responsibility is they need to obviously be functioning as a business, but they also have said quite rightly, we're not just doing it for the sake of it. We're doing it for giving you something back meaningful, as well as what they're doing for the wider good of the planet. And I'm all for that. In fact, I saw Betty put a post out from Deadfellas saying, toying with the idea of whether we implemented 10% royalty or not. Because remember when she came on the show, she was saying, it's great, we're getting a bit of uplift again in the collection, but we're not personally making any money out of it. And she put it out there, and there was quite a mixed response to her. I mean, maybe rightly or wrongly, but I just said go for it. I mean, chimpers have done it.
Well, how do they think they're going to sustain it?
Exactly. And I'm sure they want to give something back. So let's do it.
And I actually like, and we can shift on it after we got past the NFT stuff onto the strategy tokens with Burge later. But I still think the strategy token, that combination of having your NFT project that has a baked-in royalty and a strategy token, because the strategy token is like a low entry into an ecosystem. You buy a little bit of the token. It's like, we got into some of these ecosystems like Chimpers and Good Vibes Club simply because they had a strategy token. Now you're in their Discord. Now you get a feel for it. It's almost like a bit of a lead magnet. It kind of like gets you in there at a low entry, and now you start considering, well, hold on, I might just buy a Good Vibes Club or a cheaper NFT. And I think that's actually the model to do. It's just unfortunate that obviously Adam has just not really promoted it enough, have not really got it out there or had the awareness and the eyeballs on it. But we'll come on to the strategy stuff in a second with Burge. Simon, we're just talking off air. Obviously, I know you're not overly critical of NFT projects and stuff, but we're obviously talking about the announcement that came out with World of Woman, which is the first ever female-led project. It's got history on its side, auctioned off at Christie's. Had all the kind of social consensus. I know celebrities aren't really the best litmus test, but there were a lot of celebrities that got into the project. You give us a bit of an update as to what's happening there. Have you heard anything? I know there was an announcement of V stepping down.
She's V and Sweet Pea have moved on to other projects, it seems. And, what to say about it really, because I've always been a massive fan of the art right from the word go. And when I heard Yam Karki speaking for the first time, I think after Mint Day, she was completely blown away, and what a lovely person. And what a great, I personally love the art. I think it is timeless. What I'm disappointed about is that there's obviously been a series of leadership teams that have come and gone, and actually you can't say they're all it hasn't really worked, because I thought, was it Shannon Snow? I really loved her energy when she was out there doing her thing. Not quite sure how that came to sort of move on, but obviously that's happened. There had been no communication from V, any meaningful communication at all, for a couple of months before the announcement. It doesn't surprise me at all that they went. I'm not saying anything about her personally, but I think we said last week, it's okay, things go wrong. There are challenges. We have ups and downs in life, but I get on my high horse when I feel you also got to do the right thing. And there are some things that there's no excuses for, and that is communication. And has been a long time, an ambiguity about Tezos' involvement with WoW. And I've done a bit of research on that. But nevertheless, I kind of want someone behind the screen just to sort of stand up and say, look, we haven't got all the answers, but what we can tell you is this. And also just have clarity. We said last week, and I've written about it, saying it'll be great, go back to your roots of being art first, supporting artists, but do it properly this time, and just be a fantastic portal for people who wouldn't usually be attracted to NFTs, to bring them in, because that's a massive plus for what I think WoW represents, something different and can bring people in who are more diverse. I don't mean diverse in any particular way, I just mean different in their thinking. Finally, their meetups were fantastic, right? Let's get back to basics. Because you've had everything on your side. Let's make it count this time, is how I feel.
And also you've had most of the male contingent on their side as well. And I thought maybe that maybe shifted a little bit with some of the angle they're trying to go with the branding or the marketing or whatever, which is interesting. Actually, I'm noticing the pendulum shift with more analog stuff, like people meeting in person. We've got like local girls clubs. There's local tennis clubs that are female focused first. And I think there's a lot of that the World of Women can do. It doesn't need
it's ironic that they kind of went away from that at probably the worst time. Like when that stuff is on the rise, they've actually because when the new kind of leadership came in this time around, it was like, oh no, we're not going to have the main focus be these IRL events.
It doesn't even need to be NFT. It doesn't even need to be World of Women. It could just be called World of Women. And it could be, this is a World of Women meetups. And you do meet like the same way you do at Verge with the meetups, but they do a World of Women meetups and it's female focused. And then on the back end, you say, hey, this actually originated from an NFT project. And if you want to feel a part of it, and people ordinarily want to know where the origins of something happens, especially if they have a good time. I mean, when we were in Minnesota, and I didn't have a World of Women then. This is a bit naughty, but I snuck into the party. And because they were just like, basically the technology was so screwed. Like you had to get in with a wristband. And then people are just walking out and giving their wristband, and then people walking back in. And obviously it was like a free bar. It was like a free bar and stuff. And I think Beeple had an honorary one where he could have like basically the full fucking VIP area. And then he gave it to someone on the way out. But the fanfare and people like dressed up, and some people were in face paint of their chosen NFT, and it was so good. It was so good, and the vibe was so good. And actually,
brilliant at doing them.
For men, it is actually quite refreshing just having some females in the space. I mean, we need a There's too much bro energy.
There is. It's the energy. It for me. I mean, I absolutely love what the community at World of Women brings and has brought, which is a little bit different, which is what you need. And it's fantastic in the IRL events. I think I mentioned to you, not that I'm sure it means anything, but Betty has been in Discord in World of Women quite a lot. Because of course I know she said, God blimey, it's hard enough flipping well running dead fellas, forget anything else. And it's also where does any money come from? But I think a lot of people are saying, oh, you need someone like Betty with the kind of energy she's got. She's the perfect kind of person to be fronting something like WOW. Although I know it won't ever happen, I'm sure, but it's just it kind of makes sense in some ways because she's such a fantastic person, having now had that chat with her as we did.
Yeah. I don't see her being a corporate head though.
No.
She's very much an independent person who does her own thing.
She could be an advisor, you know, she could be there in the background.
Because Deadfellas is kind of like more of like that edgy kind of brand where she can do what she wants with it. She doesn't have to like, WoW kind of feels like that more safer kind of overarching brand. But you're right, Sam, like there's a lot of female. There's well, not a lot, but there's obviously multiple female-led projects out there, female-based projects out there. But WoW has always been the one, it feels, that it is at those events. You know, not only hosting their own IRL events, as you said, Jaden, but also they were at. It felt like WoW holders genuinely were the ones that were going to stuff like the Ethereum conference in Denver. Or, you know, these other events, these other crypto and NFT events. The WoW community felt like the most engaged female community that there was in the NFT space. And so to watch that decline over the last few years has been really sad to see, because I know personally a bunch of people who were either working for WoW or very into WoW have, you know, drifted and kind of not maybe exited the space for some of them, and some of them have gone on to, you know, different other things that aren't, you know, NFT related, which is sad to see for sure.
I think it'll always have history on its side. I just want to segue just into the general NFT market. Obviously CryptoPunk's now at 33 ETH, which is great. It feels like there's some sort of floor there around about 30 Ethereum. Obviously then you've got the function of ETH going up and down in price. And then a whole bunch of them, obviously Bored Ape Yacht Club, Pudgy Penguins, Mutants, Squiggles, V Friends, they're all up by percentages, which I think is good. But then obviously by the same token, you've got NFT floor price, which is now shutting down, and you've got NFTFi. I don't know if you guys remember that finance platform where you could send your NFT to an escrow account, borrow against it, and someone would give you an interest on it, and you could borrow ETH against it. That's shutting down because of low volumes. So you got this kind of mixed bag of this kind of cream rising to the top, but some of these infrastructure plays and some of these platforms, because they're not getting enough volume, they're kind of shutting down. But then by the same token, you've got these these gacha and loot platforms who have their own blockchains, who are basically buying up fucking Pokemon cards, shit ton of Pokemon cards, and then issuing the digital receipt. And that seems to be the cultural phenomenon that's happening at the moment. It's happening with Courtyard, Phygital. What are some of the other platforms? I think Rally Road is another one. So it's this kind of mixed bag of like, this has got fucking potential, but some of these bigger platforms are shutting. It's really interesting to kind of see where we are at the moment. Sam, you got any thoughts on that? Because you're kind of deep in the weeds of the NFT stuff.
I really think it's going to be fantastic for the NFT space. I think it's going to come back through that door, if you like, because people realizing that they can have a certificate that is ownership, which is the NFT, and they can much more portable, and there's so many things you can do with it when you know you've actually got the digital version. I think that's going to come back definitely. And it's interesting, we're talking off air about that side of things, but we're mentioning, for example, other side have got their Coda plushies. And they've come through 1,100 of them sold out, and they're I think now $65 at the moment or something like that. And you don't need to redeem them straight away. You have a token instead for a while until you redeem it, I believe. That's an interesting move, isn't it? Why did they suddenly decide to do that? Is it in the spirit of what's happening out there with digitals? I don't know. And
it's interesting because Burge, do you want to dive in there?
If it just quickly, it just feels similar to Pudgy for sure. It feels like following in that kind of footsteps. I mean, if you really want to, I don't want to tout the horn, but if you really want to go there, the first people to do those types of plushies might have been VFriend, but anyway.
Yes.
But what I would say is I saw it as well. We'll come on to this later, I'm sure. 1,111 plushies. Just want to point it out. That's equivalent to the cheapest CryptoPunk. I just saw a post on that.
Interesting. Really? Yeah, it's interesting. I've read a lot of stuff around projects now launching physical assets, and actually, it's seen in the industry as a common mistake to push physical collectibles out when there's no connection to a story. So it's interesting the way that VFriends did it, in that they pushed the story out first through content of the characters, and they started with the gumball machines, and they had the insert of the QR code. You snap the QR code, and then it showed you a video of the character. So they did that first in all 52 states, these kind of gumball machines or whatever they were. And then they do it through the plushie toys, and then there's this scaling out. And now they've done it through Topps Chrome cards. But each of the characters has a story, and it's happening through through comics. So he's writing. So what he's done, which is very clever, which no one else is doing, because I assume people think comics is just a fucking thing of the past. They must just think, I don't know if comics is popping off in the US, but there's no fucking comic book culture in the UK. I mean, not that I can see. But the comics are important because they're the things that get the story out. That's like the basis of the story. That's like the what's the manuscript you have before you send it to a film? You'll know this, Simon, like the 150 word thing. Like the
pitch and the
it's like the pitch. Like the comic book is like the pitch deck for the characters, and then however people connect with it, they can scale the characters as they see people reacting to it, which I think is much more thoughtful the way that that's being played out versus, oh, hold on a second, we've got a whole bunch of eyeballs here in NFTs, let's release a physical product. And what's going to happen is all these physical products are going to go out to people. And even if it happens en masse, I don't think there's going to be the connections with the characters for people to actually care about the plushie toys. And then it's going to be fucking Beanie Babies. I think for a lot of these projects. And I think it's got to be story first. You know, I saw a live stream of and I've said this before. I saw a live stream with Gary V and Spencer from Moonbirds, and Spencer was there saying, "Look, I've sold 10,000 blind boxes, as if it was this big thing, and I've got Walmart and Target after me and all this sort of stuff, which might be a good little headline thing for NFT collectors, and that drives the price up." And Gary kind of turns to him, because it's Gary V. I mean, I fucking like this. He knows his shit, and he's like, "Just so you know, I've had those same offers, but I know that I'm not going to take them because I don't want to end up." And he used the analogy of the bird shitting on your shoulder. Quite ironic that Spencer's with Moonbirds, and because what will happen is if he scales that, and all of these fucking toys go out to people, and there's no connection with them, and everyone's just got these fucking things that, and nothing happens, the IP is dead. You know, it's like, yeah, the IP.
Well, one thing I was going to say to you, Jaden.
Sorry, I was going to say, and you can tell on eBay secondary sales. You can tell if someone cares about something if it's been flipped on the secondary market. VFriends has got the biggest secondary market out of fucking any project. People care about it, so they flip it on the secondary market. I think there's actually a whole bunch of people that care about the characters that don't know this is an NFT project. So yeah. I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I love that about, I love, because I am going to get my VFriends Series 1. But we could actually be talking about any subject and VFriends would definitely find its way in. I'm only joking.
You want to make it more VFriends? Can you share this?
Go on,
Jaden. So this was something I wanted to bring up. It feels like the right time because we're on the VFriends trend. I bet you do. VFriends just hit. It smashed an all-time high in the United States for the most, searches on Google, and that's significant. I mean, the reason why that's significant is obviously it might not look like it here, but obviously April 2022 and 2021 were the peak. Now I'll give you if I go to UK, I'll give you an idea of how peak that was. Or if I go to worldwide, right now, you'll see that it doesn't quite eclipse on the worldwide basis. It doesn't quite eclipse what it did, during when it launched and then the 6 months after it launched as well. But yeah, just insane stuff. And it shows that VFriends must be doing the right thing if they're getting, that much, searches and kind of interest in the US, which is predominantly where they're building first, and obviously trying to build globally as well. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in with that.
That's crazy.
Great.
That must be the Topps Chrome stuff that's driving that.
Yes, yeah, I think so. But I also think comic books, as you were saying as well. But I did have a little look just now because of what you said, Jaden, about is comic books like even a thing in the UK. And for the UK and the US, comic books is not, as a general category being searched on Google, it's not on the up. It's very flat. It's not downtrending, but it's flat. It's very, very sideways, I would say.
But yeah, obviously it's a necessary thing to get the stories out of the characters. But we'll just get that. We'll just get that off the. Sam, you got anything
I was
to say?
just going to say one thing. I think a shout out actually in terms of this idea of like following up afterwards and actually having physicals. Definitely a shout out to the Beaks NFT collection. You know how that came out a few weeks ago, and what I'm really impressed by is the artist, who of course is an established artist. I think it's Dima Kashtalian, and he's done a couple of things. He's adapting backgrounds so you can choose different ones and make them much more bespoke. But what I love is the fact that he's now offering tiered physical rewards of the prints of the physicals, which depending on how many beaks you've got, you will be able to vote and how many you get back. And that's someone who's going, and I love that about artists in the space who go beyond the mint. Because you might expect people who are releasing PFPs or whatever to do their bit, a bit like NPC are, who I think are doing really, really well, by the way. But I'm really impressed by what he's doing, because as a holder of 5, I now know I'm going to get physicals, and I've got my World of Women limited print on my wall that I've had now for nearly 5 or 6 years or 5 years, and I'm never going to get rid of that because I've got the matching NFT. That's my story. You talk about the story, having the original NFT and then having it as a print in a frame in my sort of lounge or whatever. I'll probably do the same with the beak. So I just wanted to say I think it's great seeing artists go beyond, in a way, their obligation. Doesn't need to, because it's an art collection.
No, I like that. We are sort of coming towards the end here, but we just got one final thing that we were going to cover on the, I guess you call it the show, or just the hangout between three friends, was the strategy ecosystem. I think obviously it's very much indexed against NFTs. NFTs very much indexed against Ethereum. Ethereum indexed against Bitcoin. Bitcoin indexed to what Trump tweets, basically, or wars, oil prices, financial conditions. So it's kind of like this long tail or this pile of Jenga. But I think somewhat interestingly, the strategy ecosystem is very much indexed against how well the NFT does in that particular project. But also, if the project is generating revenue, say from these plushy toys, and they're market buying their own token, I think that's a very clever move, because just by owning the strategy token, you get to participate in the productivity of the company. I think that's a very clever thing for people to do. Bert, have you been keeping an eye out on what's happening with either Punkster or Chimster or Good Vibes Club?
Yeah, we had a punk sale. I think that was it today or yesterday? I can share it here. Let me just get it up.
Yeah, just love that on your screen. I mean,
another punk sale. They hold 39 crypto punks worth 1,700 Ethereum.
So that was sold yesterday.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, this is the tweet was today.
Because the interesting thing is like, you know, when these were pumping and when we had all the momentum, I say we had the momentum behind us, when these punks were selling and it was kind of like proof of concept showing up in front of our eyes, the price was going up like 40, 50, 60%. Now, I think each time there's a liquidity boost, people are selling out of it potentially. So there's kind of this stagnation. But also, I think if ETH increases in price, there's an optical rising effect of this strategy token. Have you got any thoughts on where you think this is headed? Because I know, Bert, you've got quite a big bag of Punkster.
Yeah, so my thinking is this. I mean, you know, I want to kind of echo what you said earlier as well, which is, you know, I do think Adam could have promoted this or marketed this better. And at the same time, I also think, you know, he is kind of right in terms of like, you know, these are decentralized. These are just they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, it could have been better if it'd been marketed and promoted more, and they'd onboarded more projects to launch strategy tokens. I think that was a big miss. But at the same time, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. And I think the biggest thing that I'm so happy about that they managed to implement, and this is the thing they really should have focused on from the beginning, if they were, as well as trying to onboard more projects, was getting these NFTs that were owned by the protocol onto OpenSea. That was a massive thing. I mean, when I thought about strategy tokens, when I first heard of them, that's how I thought they would work, is that they would be listed on on OpenSea, and you'd be able to buy, and it was going to be massive because the cheapest one on OpenSea is often the one that people buy, maybe not for punks, but for almost every other collection. Especially since the, you know, Blur and other marketplaces have kind of fallen by the wayside. So I was thinking, you know, if they were listed on OpenSea, it's going to be crazy. And you've seen it happen just here. I'm just looking now. This one sold 11 hours ago, the one that's on screen right now. It was actually only just acquired by Punk Strategy. So it got acquired and then immediately sold. Little bit interesting. I don't really understand. You know, I thought it was meant to be relisted at a fair, like a little bit more, like 1.1x. I don't see it listed at 1.1x. I see it.
No, it's listed at it's listed at 35. So that hasn't sold. That's a purchase. So obviously it's built up enough funds in the.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
that's a purchase and a relisting. But it's interesting. The floor price of CryptoPunks at the moment is 33.5 Ethereum. The next protocol token that's listed is 33.9. So that could be another one. Then there's one that's 34.9. Then there's one that's 35. This one that you're looking at is 35.2. So you're talking like 1-2 ETH difference here. Then there's one listed at 36. So you've got potentially 5 sales of punks that could happen in a very short space of time. And then you've got a whole bunch listed in the 40s, and then a whole bunch more listed in the mid 50s. So it's going to be interesting to see how the market reacts to this, because I think a whole bunch of people at the moment are probably just taking exit liquidity out of this each time one of these is sold, which is why I think the support of the other strategies like the Good Vibes and the Chimpers. So you then say, okay, you're going to get a full-blown NFT market with all these strategy tokens are going to be driving the burn of Punkster. Then it could be really interesting, but there's no, at the moment it's stagnating because there's no real buy mechanism here. There's no incentive for people to buy the token.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Yeah, but what I do like is the fact that, as you say, Berge, there is an argument that it may just do its own thing, and as punks start to surge, it starts to kick in, and it becomes its own marketing mechanism. Because people will start talking about it. That's the thing. It's when people start talking. But equally, at the same time, you've got Chimpster, Vibester, who have got leadership teams and a community and an ecosystem who actively have embraced that, and therefore, what I like about that is that they are going to do whatever they can with it to keep the momentum going for their community and for their token.
Vibe strategy is up 65% in the last 7 days. 65%. That's an outlier for sure.
Do you just want to share that on your screen? Because I think it's interesting to see when ETH increases, how the strategy tokens increase as well.
Yeah. So what you're looking at here, I mean, so Punk strategy had a crash recently. I think it went to something like 0.006 or 0.007. It was quite a brutal crash, and one that if you were like into technical analysis, you would have said it was kind of breaching a low point, like it had been always kind of like rebounding off of a certain price, or at least stabilizing at a certain price. And this time it actually went straight through it. But actually it has rebounded since then, and we're back up to close to 0.01. And I'm looking at some of these other strategy tokens as well. They've rebounded as well. It's not like, I think it would be, if I saw, some of these go down and then just stay there, it would be much, much worse. But the fact that they still rebound, that they still move, that they're still traded by some people is important. And I think that's all you need. All you need is for them to stay. They don't have to be fully alive. But if they're just hibernating instead of completely dead, if they're hibernating, then that's all you need. Because once we have an NFT run again, these will go, they will shake off the dust and the cogs will start spinning and it will go crazy. It will go crazy, I think. And interesting point here. I don't know why, but Chimp strategy. I don't know what they had to do to ask Token, or maybe they just didn't even ask Adam. They said, "Fuck Adam, we're just going to change the profile picture." But look, they got their own chimper. They got their own chimper icon, and everyone else has got the bland looking TokenWorks logo. Just interesting.
No, that is. I mean, I think what they've solved is this converging between coins and NFTs, because there's always been, you think about the TGE, it's not, it doesn't fit in. It doesn't really fit in because it's too extractive. People try and front run the NFT to claim the token, then dump the token, sell the NFT. It just hurts the ecosystem. Now you've got technology which basically solved this converging of like the ERC20 and the NFT. And it retains value within the ecosystem in like a fair launch way. And I think it's just a much better way of doing it. It's just how long this takes for people to adopt it, which I think is going to be really interesting. Burge, looks like you got something on your screen. Is there something you wanted to share there? Just
No,
before we close things off?
it was just I decided to expand it a little bit and look at the last 30 and 60 days. It's nothing really needed to share, but it's just interesting. Vibe strategy not just up 65% in the last 7 days, it's also up over the last 30 and 60 days, which is there's no other crypto out of like the 20 that I'm tracking, and I'm including like the major 5, 10, and then, you know, ApeCoin, Blur, Doodle, Pengu, you know, just some of those Sui, Dogecoin, etc. No other crypto is up over 24 hours, over 7 days, over 30 days, and 60 days. And Vibe strategy is. So clearly, and I think Vibe, importantly, as Simon pointed out earlier, you know, that's the community being involved. But it's also, my friend, I was on a call with my friend the other day, and he was saying that that Good Vibes Club they're doing real stuff with Vibe strategy. They're really, you know, getting their community involved with it. But more importantly, Vibe strategy is the one that's been burned the most, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that you're seeing the tokenomics of the whole strategy token, like the thesis behind it, right, was that if it starts aggressively burning itself, then the price is going to shoot up. And you're seeing validation, I think, with Vibe strategy. You're seeing that even though, despite, you know, and we know the last 60 days have been hectic all over the place, Vibe strategy is up on all bases, 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, and 60 days. I think that's testament to Good Vibes Club, but I think that's also testament to what strategy tokens are.
Yes.
And it validates the model, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's great take on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right. Guys, we just come to the end here. I just want to say a massive thank you to the 69 list. 69. I don't know why I should laugh at that. It's been on 69 for a while, so I think it's a sign from the universe for us to end this episode. It's gone to 71 now. Thank you for sharing. 72. I think there's something in the algorithm. Whenever we say, listen, we're going to end things here. Guys, it's been a real good one. I just want to say a massive thank you to the 72 of you that are now in here. If you ever want to listen back to these episodes, or you want to be a part of the Carrot Lane community, you can hit the link in my bio. Just pop your email address in. You'll get all of the updates. You'll never miss a live stream again. But this has been a real good one. It's been great catching up with you, Simon and Burge. Until next week, we will catch you then. So cheers, guys.
Take care.
See you then. Bye.
See ya.